Don Tapscott, uh, you're presenting a very credible and persuasive vision of the future of the world, but not everyone agrees with what you're saying. Malcolm Gladwell, for example, in a recent piece in The New Yorker, argued that social networking is not only a fad, but reflects a certain sort of indulgency on the part of what you would call digital natives. And this new world, which you talk about, the age of network intelligence, is actually one of just weak ties, where more and more individuals are sort of indulging themselves and flitting from project to project, and that this world of Facebook and Twitter is not resulting in democracy or revolution or any of the other good things you're talking about. How would you respond to Gladwell's position?
Well, he's a thoughtful guy, and he's a great writer. And I'm always interested in what he has to say. But being an educated person, he would have read Shakespeare, and I would say that this particular piece was full of sound and fury, signifying nothing, or perhaps he doth protest too much. The problem is it just doesn't correspond to the data and to the facts. And, only strong ties bring about change. Well, I suppose that's true ultimately. But you know what? All ties, except the relationship between a mother and her baby, begin as weak ties. So if we have a medium of communications that can bring in thousands or millions or tens of millions of people, as in the case of Facebook causes, we can make those weak ties become stronger ties. And the opening story of MacroWikinomics is about Ushahidi, this lawyer in Kenya. After the elections of 2007, there was horrific violence. There's no real media in Kenya that could be doing investigative journalism or reporting on this stuff. She created a platform whereby people could report on what was happening and put photographs in and stuff like that. And this was instrumental in bringing the truth of what was really happening to the people in Kenya and to the world, and eventually in helping end the violence. Now the Ushahidi network is used all around the world to solve a myriad of different problems, everything from helping authorities with Snowmageddon in Washington last year. They had these big snowfalls, and the authorities couldn't figure out what was going on. The people would report it on the Ushahidi network, right down to in Haiti. After the earthquake last year, people on the Ushahidi network found kids in the rubble in Haiti, and they were able to save lives. So this is real social change. This is solving real problems based on a new platform to do that. And there are just countless examples. I was I suppose radical back in the 60s, and I was fought for the civil rights movement and for women's rights, and I was against the war in Vietnam and so on. We would have killed to have a way of communicating the way that young people do today at their fingertips. They have the most powerful tool ever for finding out what's going on, for informing others, for getting organizing collective responses, and it's a lot more effective than sticking a little mimeograph poster on a billboard, which is what I was forced to do back then. So by all means, Malcolm, stimulate us, but I'm afraid on this one you're just dead wrong.
Aren't there any facts on his side, though? What about the Iranian case where everyone went on Twitter and it changed nothing?
Well, it didn't change nothing. Is that a double negative? It changed something. That thing isn't over. The train has left the station. The cat is out of the bag. The horse has left the barn. You know what? Iran has the highest proportion of teens and 20-somethings to the rest of the population of any country in the world. And you give them access to secular information. This is not just about a protest on who gets elected as the president. This is ultimately a challenge to the theocracy. I think it's a pre-revolutionary situation. And the Iranian authorities have very sophisticated people, and they can shut down Twitter and all the rest. Again, evidence that they're fearful of this technology and its ability to inform and to enable people to self-organize and to mobilize. They can try and do that, but ultimately they'll be unsuccessful. The other thing, of course, is that and Gladwell says, well, it wasn't used so much within Iran for organizing. It was more used by people outside. Well, that may be true. He may be right on that. But you know what? Every revolution needs its support. It needs funds. It needs the hearts and minds of people around the world. It needs other governments deciding that they're the right side and not the vernacular or the status quo. So in every one of these situations around the world, the internet is actually helpful, and it's actually important. And when you read that article, the end result was, well, the internet, it's maybe not such a big thing afterwards. I suppose there were people back after Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press saying, yeah, well, is it really going to change things?